I love Metroid. If you're unfamiliar, Metroid is Nintendo's sci-fi adventure series, starring Samus, a bounty hunter who defends the galaxy against various threats, most notably the titular Metroid species. The games are iconic, and a whole genre was named after its style of having you explore a large area and only being able to progress through further exploration. Metroid itself thrives on its recurring atmosphere and themes of isolation, dread, and mystery, and then tying in exploration throughout its gameplay. Combine that with excellent music, deeply interesting world building, and really engaging gameplay, and you have a series that rarely misses its mark. While I replayed through Super Metroid recently, I began to notice how all of these elements feel almost cinematic. And for a game released in 1994, that's a huge compliment. Metroid somehow draws this feeling of suspense, and almost at times feel like you're playing through a horror movie. When people talk about franchises they think deserve an adaptation, I always think Metroid is near perfect. I think if you stick to those key elements that I mentioned earlier, those of dread, isolation, and mystery, then use exploration to tie it all together, you can make a respectful adaptation even if you remove the game aspect. I have an outline of what I believe could be used as a base to build a Metroid adaptation. Of course, I'm not limited to budget or Nintendo's guidelines of being family friendly, so this is very much just my own personal idea. I highly doubt Nintendo would want a self-serious adaptation of one of their works, but I don't have to deal with that. To be properly done, Metroid will work best as a television show. Think of what Netflix did for The Umbrella Academy, or Castlevania even. And for the purposes of this video, I'll stick mostly to the first game for a base story, but pulling from other areas to flesh things out. A solid 8 episodes would probably be about perfect for the world and giving us enough time with Samus, and I'm still going to present it in a 3-act structure instead of taking you episode by episode, because a lot of Netflix shows still work on that idea anyways. And in each act we'll talk about how we use those 3 themes of mystery, dread, and isolation. So let's get started. Act 1. We begin with an invasion. Space pirates, who are a large band of aliens trying to conquer as many worlds as possible, are attacking K2L, a human colony where a young girl named Samus lives with their parents. They absolutely ravage it, with their leader Ridley, the sadistic skeletal dragon often referred to as a cunning god of death, personally killing many of the inhabitants, including Samus's parents, who were attempting to protect her. Ridley leaves Samus alone on the planet, with no one else alive, and the space pirates retreat. We then fast forward many years later to a now adult Samus. Samus is fighting space pirates in an open city, protecting people, and warding them off after being hired to do so. Usually we're just told that Samus is the universe's greatest bounty hunter, but I want it to be very much shown her competence and her abilities. Towards the end of the fight, soldiers begin to pour in, and many capture the space pirates that did not flee. These are the soldiers of the Galactic Federation, the galaxy-spreading government in the Metroid universe. Samus then hears words of commendation from a commander named Adam Malkovich, something along the lines of, "Excellent work once again, Samus." Samus begrudgingly thanks him, and he states that her services would be greatly appreciated if being used by the Federation. Samus says that she once again declines, so clearly these characters have a history. If you're familiar with Metroid, you know that these two characters do have a history, and Samus at one point worked for the Galactic Federation. I don't want it to be extremely stated of how that worked, but I do want it to be at least known that they have some history, and that at one point or another Adam has previously asked for her to come and work for them. However, Adam's a little different this time. He further explains to her that the space pirates are planning to organize a galaxy-threatening event, and that Samus should at the very least hear him out. Samus begrudgingly agrees, and snarks that she should at least be getting paid for her time. She might not want to, but she knows the devastation that the space pirates could cause, so if there's something bigger than what they normally do, she realizes it might be important for her to get involved. Samus follows them back to their headquarters, where Adam details that the space pirates intend to use a species known as Metroids to take over the galaxy. They have little clue of a Metroid's origin, or what exactly it can do, and their scientists are currently studying the few that they have. Adam further notes that, as far as they know, the space pirates don't have any Metroid yet, and they seem to be very hard to find. Samus is yet again reluctant. She knows she's the best at what she does, but she still tries to refuse. And as she's doing so, the space pirates attack the Federation's HQ. Since the Federation has the only confirmed Metroid samples in the galaxy, they hatched a plot to get some space pirates captured so they could lead them to the location of it. The space pirates captured that were being questioned steal the Metroid samples, while the others who just arrived cause mass destruction to create a distraction. Samus navigates through the hallways and corridors, helping those who had been injured by the space pirates and taking plenty of space pirates out on her way to make it outside to see the destruction. She makes it out, and she eventually sees Ridley, who's causing most of said destruction. This is Samus' first time seeing him since her own childhood, and before she can even attempt to fight him, he retreats. And as the space pirates leave, Samus changes her mind and agrees to accept the mission. And that's the end of the first act. So you can see the three themes pretty clearly. The isolation is not literal, it's instead the isolation Samus feels from the rest of the world after her parents are killed. She's cut herself off from others and is therefore isolated. The dread is of Ridley and facing her own past. She refuses to accept the mission because she knows it ends with her facing her biggest fear. And the mysteries are aplenty, with Samus not knowing what Metroids are exactly, what the pirates will do with them, and what lies ahead for her. And with that, we're able to get into the next act. Act 2. So, we hit that inciting incident, what gets us into the main plot. Samus agreed to the mission, and now is on the way to the space pirates' base, which is on the planet Zebes. At this point, Samus is given all the information that the Federation knows in order to aid her in her mission. The base is run by Mother Brain, a telepathic rogue artificial intelligence that is the true commander of the space pirates. The organization has two second-in-commands, Ridley, as we already know, and Kraid, the reptilian second-in-command who technically is the head of the science division. Samus needs to locate each leader, starting with Kraid, of course, in order to find more information and how to destroy the base. Federation also asks her to return the Metroid sample that the pirates stole, in order to keep doing research on it and categorize it as a threat. As Samus approaches the planet, she's shot down, but manages to make a safe landing. Her ship is damaged, but it self-repairs, however it takes multiple hours to do so. Because her suit's communications were connected directly to the ship, she is now without contact to the Federation. All she has now is the partial maps given to her by them and her mission. This is our way to bring in that isolation. And most Metroid games have you navigate a tight, cramped space completely alone with no outside help. So we're slowly narrowing further and further in on getting something similar to that game feeling. In order to create that real isolation, she had to be around some sort of people at some point in the story. So here, Samus begins to make her way into Zebes, fighting through space pirates and various obstacles. She slowly learns through these soldiers that they plan to multiply the Metroids in order to take over the galaxy, but she's still unsure what exactly the Metroids do. And here is a good pinpoint to talk about exploration. I want the idea of exploration to be more organic instead of having Samus need to obtain a bunch of upgrades to move forward. She instead should move forward in a more natural way. Maybe she hits a dead end and has to move backwards. Maybe Mother Brain attempts to shut off exits in an attempt to block her path. Maybe her use of missiles and ammo break the natural rocks and block her path. In any case, the exploration, mostly in this part, is to locate Kraid and map pieces, and should flow as a natural part of the story. I didn't think Samus losing all of her gear was specific for this specific story, but I think it could be used in the future, especially if a hypothetical continuation went further into Samus' origins. So, Samus locates Kraid. She approaches his lair in order to get more information and take him down. This is our big action set piece for this act, and is where we get more information. A side note about Kraid, in most games post the first Metroid game, Kraid is presented as this gigantic being. I actually want this to be closer to the first Metroid, where Kraid was a little larger than Samus. That way that big final battle can be kept for Mother Brain and Ridley, but we still have a formidable foe. Maybe if Kraid ever returns, we can upgrade him to his larger self. So after defeating Kraid, Samus learns that she has to defeat Mother Brain in order to trigger a self-destruction sequence for the base. But Mother Brain is guarded by Ridley, and Samus asks how Ridley can be defeated. Kraid claims you can't kill Mother Brain or Ridley, but before he can finish, Mother Brain releases a Metroid into the lair. This is our first time actually seeing a Metroid. It's been a lingering presence, but now we actually see what it can do. Samus avoids it, and it ends up attaching itself to Kraid, and sucks his life energy dry, killing him almost instantly. Samus finds a way to escape and continues on her way. The pieces of this puzzle are becoming ever more clear as she closes in on her goal. So the isolation aspect was discussed, but we still have dread and mystery. Samus's dread comes from not knowing what's around the corner in this act, and from learning what the space pirates plan to do with the Metroids. She realizes that her facing Ridley is essential to saving the entire galaxy. The answers to the mysteries of the story are given to Samus, and they lead to her becoming more determined to meet her goal. And here we get to the final act, Act 3. Samus navigates to Ridley and Mother Brain, while on the way gaining ammo and appropriate gear to be able to properly defeat them. Samus soon makes her way to Ridley, where she finally faces her fear and fights him. Our fight against Ridley is the biggest action piece here, and as the fight progresses, Samus and Ridley banter about what Ridley has done. Ridley uses the fact that he had killed her parents to taunt Samus, claims he remembers who she is, and Samus is forced to face that fear completely to defeat him. She succeeds, of course, and continues on her way to destroy Mother Brain. Mother Brain attempts to reason with Samus, says that she knows much more about her than Samus thinks. Samus, however, chooses to complete her mission and destroy Mother Brain. Samus takes one of the sealed away Metroids and uses the map she's been collecting to make her quick escape. Her ship has repaired itself, and Samus makes it back to the Federation HQ safe and alive. So let's talk about our themes. Samus's dread is absolved as she faces Ridley and gains the upper hand against him, deciding there's no reason to fear him. Her isolation is resolved as she makes contact back with the Federation, realizes the maps and information they gave her helped her in part to accomplish her goal. And most of the mysteries presented are mostly cleared up. Some are still raised about what Kraid meant by the fact Mother Brain or Ridley couldn't be destroyed, or the fact that Mother Brain seems to know more about Samus than she should. But the story's main mysteries were tied up. Of course, this is a very basic outline with an idea of the themes I would want to be explored. I missed a lot of Metroid lore. I didn't even bring up the Chozo or Samus' origins past her parents dying. And if you know anything about Metroid, you know those two things are pretty important. I assume that would be covered later, but I do think the idea to have the isolation of the world double as Samus's own internal isolation from everyone else should be a driving factor in the story. Of course, I think professional writers would accomplish this way better, but my point here is that this could work. And according to the years of rumors, multiple scripts that have been worked on and passed by Nintendo, Metroid might even get some adaptation in the future. Whether or not it looks anything like my version of events, I truly hope that it's faithful and does an excellent job. Either way, I love Metroid, and I hope the franchise continues to hit its mark for a long time to come, and I will wait patiently and adamantly for Metroid Prime 4. Hey, it's Flip. Thank you so much for watching this video about Metroid. This was a long one to write, but I'm happy I was able to share with you some of the ideas I've had for a long while now. What video game would you like to see adapted? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss next week's video. And as always, thanks so much for watching.